to Survive in Advance on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Survive in Advance is brought to you by MyBookie.ag. Make sure you go to MyBookie.ag, put in the promo code TGT100 to get a 100% cashback bonus on your first deposit up to $300. I am your co-host for Survive in Advance, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I would like to welcome a man who I haven't talked to in a long time, 1981 national champion, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Doing great today, Mike. Had a fun show earlier this morning on top 10 clutch performances in sports, and hope we get back down to business now and talk a little playoffs on both the NHL and the NBA for a few minutes.
All right, and right now we have some special guests. First up, from the Sheridan Report, Bobby Sheridan. How you doing, Bobby?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, our NHL beat reporter, Sam McGinnis. How you doing, Sam?
I'm doing great.
And if you listened to our show earlier today, both of these men made fun of this man. So he decided to come on for the first 10, 15 minutes of the show. Help me welcome to the show, Lukas Weese. How you doing, Lukas?
Oh, Mike, I'm great.
Now, Sam, did you have something that you wanted to discuss with Lukas?
Hey, buddy.
I think you heard it live, so I think I'm good.
All right, so we're going to start off real quick with the NHL playoffs, where last night, conference finals, the Carolina Hurricanes held a 2-1 lead going into the third quarter, or I guess we would call it the fateful third quarter, Sam. And the Boston Bruins special teams, we've talked about their power play, especially at the end of the series with Columbus, and that really made a huge difference in this game.
Actually, the third period.
I said third, didn't I?
Yeah, I was about to say, like, it's a period.
All right, just shut up. You know what I'm talking about. Answer the question, Sam.
Yeah, the Boston Bruins are definitely very good on the power play, but, like, Carolina, I'm just, wow. Like, that some penalty kill you got there. Like, they need to fix that if they want any chance of winning this series at all.
All right.
Or maybe stop taking penalties.
But I would say this. When you look at this overall, Lukas, we talk about the special teams and how it cost them the 4 goals at the end, but I don't think that we can count Carolina out just because of this, because this is a team that was down, 3-1, 3-2 to the Washington Capitals, came back and won a Game 7 at Washington. So I don't think this is a killer for them, but it's definitely not the way you want to start.
They won Game 7 in double overtime the first round. This is a team that's conquered adversity every step of the way. The big game is Game 2. And in a best-of-7 series, that's the big game. Obviously, you'd like to win Game 1 on the road. But Game 2, this is a big game. And if you can take this one, then you go back 2 games in Carolina, which has been one of the most raucous atmospheres in the NHL playoffs this year, you then have an advantage. So,
all right. You're not supposed to end a sentence with "so." You may not know that in Canada, Lukas, but that's how it is here in the States. Steve, I'm going to include you. I know you've been watching hockey lately, but my question is, Game 1 like this, especially with Carolina, Carolina was coming in fairly well rested. Boston was just coming off recently playing. Does that have any effect here where maybe Boston was just in a little bit of a groove against Columbus and it kind of carried over to here?
I mean, in sports in general, sometimes too much of a layoff's not a good thing. You get a little stiff or kind of sluggish a little bit. You got to work yourself back into it. I always liked going right back out and playing again as soon as I could and, get a rest, get a break, but then get back after it. So, I think the big thing yesterday was Carolina seemed to make a lot of mental mistakes, which led to penalties, which just gave Boston an upper hand, from what little I know about the game.
All right, so when we look at this, and I'm going to ignore Bobby until we get to the NBA, because Bobby was holding his breath hoping I didn't ask him a question, right, Bobby?
So was I, Mike. That's okay.
I know, that's why I was trying to make it easy when I asked the question. When we look at the Blues against the Sharks, and we've talked about this a lot, how the Blues went from being the worst team to a team that could possibly win the Cup now with Jordan Bennington. Playing San Jose, how do you break this series down, Sam? What do you think is the key, and who do you think wins it?
I think Pavelski coming back was actually one of the biggest keys. I think one of the other bigger keys here is depth. That's something that is always a huge factor in the playoffs, and I think the Sharks can beat any team in the category of depth, especially with like Joe Thornton and Gustav Nyquist as like depth pieces. Yeah, I think depth will be the real difference maker here, and as long as San Jose's goaltending doesn't melt down again, I think they'll win the series in 7 games. Not to say the Blues won't put up a fight, because they certainly will, but I think the Sharks can do it.
All right. Lucas, do you agree with Sam?
I think this series comes down to which goaltender is going to outplay the other. And I think Jordan Binnington has proved from the start of January that he's been a real, stellar goalie. This is someone who's battled a lot of adversity throughout his career, and to now have the opportunity to be a starting goaltender in the NHL, he's relishing that. And I think for the St. Louis Blues, they've been playing playoff hockey since January, and to get to this point, I'm not taking anything away from San Jose. They've had a great run this playoffs. I think though back-to-back Game 7, I think a question of fatigue might start to creep in with San Jose, and I just think St. Louis right now, they've been on a real momentum streak for quite some time. It's going to be a fun series to watch. I think it's going to go the distance, and I'm going to take St. Louis.
Yeah, Sam, I'm going to agree. I think St. Louis takes this too. I think Jordan Binnington will be the difference here. I think offensively, defensively, special teams-wise, I think in all 3 of those categories that I would probably give the Sharks a slight advantage. Special teams I'd probably call even. But when I look at it, I think Jordan Binnington is the difference there. So, Lucas, I think we could say Sam is wrong on this.
I would have to agree.
Okay, Sam,
but
you're wrong.
He is 17, though.
Apologize.
So, I mean,
How old are you, Lucas?
23.
Okay. It's the same thing to me and Steve and Bobby because we're all old. So
true.
You guys are the same age.
That is true.
All right.
Hey,
so
Mike, I had a question.
Yeah.
Mike, I had a question for you. What, just for the people like lay people out there that are starting to follow hockey, what constitutes a special team in hockey? Is that like a penalty killing
Power
team?
play.
Or
Yeah, power play
play
or
team?
penalty
Power play
killing.
team? Okay.
Yeah.
Power play, penalty kill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
See? Steve thought maybe he'd catch
Okay.
me and I wouldn't know. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Steve.
I
I
was
know,
just
I'm
kidding.
4-on-4 and 3-on-3.
Yeah. Basically, it's
wanting to explain
anytime it's not 5-on-5, it's special teams.
So were the Hanson brothers like a specialty team?
The Hanson brothers, Steve, were a movie.
They're not real?
No. I wish they were. But actually, here's a story. When I coached in 2011 for the Northern Kentucky River Monsters, we played the team from Johnstown, and they played in the exact same arena and in the exact same place that the movie was filmed. Just
There
a
you
very
go.
interesting tidbit. All right, let's go to the...
Hey, Mike, I can top that real quick.
Well, I'm
The
sure
course
you'll
that I
try.
play on out here in Los Angeles is where a bulk of Caddyshack was filmed.
Slapshot was a movie about a sport, hockey. Yours is a movie about what Sam McGinnis calls a pastime. So there's a difference there. Am I correct, Sam?
Yes.
Okay.
All
right. So I win.
Move on.
All right. Let's go to the NBA playoffs, which have become very interesting. Since Lucas has to go here in about 4 minutes, we're going to let him give his take on the Raptors-Sixers. And the one thing, I can speak for Steve, too, I was real happy to not be interrupted periodically during the night with a text that has Raptors in capital letters.
Well, this is here we go. Game
I'm
7.
sitting there. It's like 9:30 at night. It's an hour into the game. I'm watching like the hockey game, and I think, hey, the Raptors must be getting their asses kicked because I haven't had a text from Lucas saying Raptors yet.
Well, look, it's Game 7. It's, 2 greatest words in sports. I think this. the home teams in the NBA in Game 7 in the history of the NBA playoffs have won about 80% of the time. And I think this is a game where which Joel Embiid is going to show up and which Ben Simmons is going to show up. Because we've seen this series, Game 3, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, they're showing up, they're airplaning, they're thinking they win the NBA championship. But then we see a Game 5, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, and they look like the Walking Dead out there. So it's going to be an interesting game. I think the Sixers supporting cast is better than the Raptors. The only time the Raptors supporting cast has shot over 50% was in Game 5. The rest of the time they haven't. And I just think if Jimmy Butler gets going like he did in Game 6, the Raptors are in trouble. But the Raptors are at home. The crowd's going to be electric. I'm going to be live from Scotiabank Arena for that game. And I think the Raptors are going to take it. I'm riding with the team. It's going to be a good one. And let's get it going. I'll be the only one picking Toronto. And I hope it's right. But we'll see.
You don't know that. You don't know what anybody else is picking. But you're probably
well, you guys
right.
are American. So.
What's that mean? You say, everybody on the Raptors is an American too. Did you know that?
There's one or two.
So when you guys want to cheer for basketball players, you cheer for Americans. You don't cheer for Canadians. No response?
I don't think he needs to.
Okay. Bobby, when we look at this,
Hey.
I think it's safe to say going to Game 7, the Sixers are probably not going to lay down like they did in Game 5. Do you think to me it's Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, if they play the way they're capable of playing, I think there's too much talent on the Sixers to lose this game. So the question is twofold. Do you think those three step up? And if they do, can Kawhi Leonard have a Michael Jordan moment and basically put this on his back and still will the Raptors to win Game 7?
Yes and yes. And it's a difficult game to handicap because you've got a line there that's sitting at about 6 or 6.5, and that's a tough number. I definitely favor Toronto, especially with the home court advantage. I think Kawhi Leonard has foot off the gas pedal the last two games, and I think it's going to be on the pedal on Sunday. And it's worrisome if you're a 76ers follower, backer. I haven't decided which way is the best way to go in this game. I don't think the number is going to come into play. I think that Philadelphia is either going to win the game straight up, or Toronto's going to have a really nice, a really solid victory. So I have to look at some more things and kind of think about some more things before I give out an opinion on this game. But I do think that Toronto's going to show up, and I think it's going to be a very, very good game. And the Leonard factor is what holds me back from taking Philadelphia right now.
All right. So when we go to this, Steve, who do you like here, Sixers or the Raptors? I mean, this is a tough one to call.
It's a very tough one to call. I think this. I know you don't favor it as much as I factored in. The home court advantage plays, I think, a little bit of advantage. It's not a game-defining decision where you play the game, but it does factor in. Toronto's going back, sleeping in their own bed, getting in their own routine, driving their own cars to the stadium, getting into their norm, where Philadelphia is now back at a hotel, eating hotel food or fast food or wherever they eat. They're not eating, their own home-cooked meals. However, that being said, these series have been a one-game rest period. Now, all of a sudden, this game being played last night, they get Philadelphia gets Friday and Saturday off. And, for a guy like Embiid who's battling some injuries, soreness, that extra day may make all the difference in the world. Philadelphia looks strong. They put 5 players in double figures. Toronto only put 3 players in double figures. Neither bench is very supportive. I think one bench contributed 22 points and the other bench contributed 23 points. So that's kind of a wash, although they both got about the same two players he's putting in over 20 minutes. So the bench is pretty well a break even, I think, on both teams. No real points scored there. I think the fact that Philadelphia is getting an extra day of rest bodes well for them. They're coming off a solid performance. I mean, Toronto pretty much was really never in this game. But like Bobby says, this is a too tough to call thing here because there is, as Lukas said, there's going to be emotion in this game from the home court. This thing means everything to Toronto. It means more to Toronto probably than it does the city of Philadelphia, in my opinion. And so I'm going to wait for Bobby to make his prediction, and that's the way I'm probably going to go because he's going to map it out strategically and analytically, and I think he's probably going to be spot on whichever way he decides to go.
All right, Sam, what do you think? Toronto, Philadelphia.
Trust the process?
What the hell does that mean? You don't know anything about the NBA is what that means, doesn't it, Sam?
Well, I know who said it and why he said it.
Okay.
I like his answer.
Trust the process. I think this, and Steve, all of your trips were when you were under the age of 22. I think when you're at a professional level and you have a wife and kids, sometimes it's better to go on the road for the game. There's no distractions.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly true. I mean, there's also distractions of going out and partying in a city, staying in a hotel room, and, sometimes being settled down and being at home is probably less of a distraction than going out and finding a bar and having a few drinks or.
Well, I think this. I think if your intention is before Game 7, whether it's a day before or 2 days before, is to go to a bar and get a drink, you're probably going to lose whether you're home or away because your priorities are not correct.
Well said. Yeah.
But
I mean, if I was going to pick a team, I would pick Toronto right now. But like I said, just because they're playing at home for no other reason. I think it's a dead heat match.
Yeah, but I think this, and this is my opinion. And Sam, I'll go to you, see if you can come up with something better than repeating Steve. But I think the reason home teams win predominantly is because usually when you're the home seed in Game 7, the better seed, you were the better team all year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
Brian. You earned that right.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, you earn the right, and it shows up when it has to show up. And more time, what is it, stat that Lukas, did you give a stat? Did you give a stat?
Lukas had to go because he has a previous commitment at 3 o'clock, and we kind of threw this together. He wanted to come on and give his opinion on the Raptors and the NHL, so just go ahead. But I think my point is dead on. I think the reason that home teams usually win in Game 7 is because they're usually the better team. Now, I think this, though. I think we could have 3 Game 7s, and if you go by percentages, one of these 3 away teams is going to get a win, though, Bobby.
Well, we already know which one's going to get the win. Houston Rockets are going to win at Golden State on Sunday.
So Bobby, Houston Rockets have to win tonight yet. Quit putting the cart before the horse, because the horse will just fall down and break his leg and have to be put up. All right, next up, the Denver Broncos. The Denver Nuggets lost 119-108 to the Portland Trail Blazers. My takeaway here was Jamal Murray, still 24 points, 10 rebounds. He played well. I don't think that Denver necessarily played poorly, but the big takeaway here to me, Steve, is C.J. McCollum, 30 points, Damian Lillard, 31 points, where on the opposite side, Jamal Murray, 24, Gary Harris, 15, didn't play poorly, but the last couple games, the backcourt of the Nuggets outplayed the Trailblazers until last night.
Agreed. Yeah, it was a letdown defensively for what I've touted is what I thought was one of the best defensive backfields or backcourts in the NBA.
You tell we're Americans, all we want to talk about is football, Steve. Go ahead.
Football, I know. Go ahead. The Denver Broncos thing just threw me off entirely. But, Lillard and McCollum just stepped up to the plate, and they just outplayed it. Now, can they replicate that in Denver is a $10 question. Because I think that if the Denver backcourt gets a hold of those two guys, this game definitely favors Denver. I think it already favors Denver a little bit because they're playing at home. And basically, I still think Portland just has nothing for Denver center with Jokic. Again, he dumps in 8 assists, 12 points, and 29 points again, and they have not been able to stop him at all. So I think it's a little bit of an anomaly yesterday with the Portland backcourt. They hadn't done that and dominated that way most of the series. Harris and Murray been able to shut them down. There was, but look at the minutes that the two guards got. Murray plays 46 minutes, Harris plays 40. That's a lot of minutes for those guys. And again, not much production out of the bench. So they put 5 players in double figures. I think this game switches pretty much on Murray and Harris being able to shut down the Portland backcourt.
Yeah,
if they let them run a while again.
If that's true,
it's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, if that's true, I think this. No matter how well they play defense, I think Lillard and McCollum may be the best backcourt in the NBA, and I think the 32 and 30 is something they can do again. I think the difference in this game, Bobby, will come down to this. I think both teams starting fives will play well. They always do. It seems to me the big difference in this series has been Will Barton or Rodney Hood. When Will Barton outplays Rodney Hood, the Nuggets win. When Rodney Hood gives you something off the bench, like he had 25 points last night, the Blazers win. So I think the big key here could be off the bench and what Hood or Barton do.
That is a huge key. Last night, Hood and Collins for Portland combined for 39, and they outplayed Denver's reserves. But oftentimes in the NBA, you'll see that totally flips when they go and they switch over to the other home court.
Well, like Barton in Game 5 was amazing. Game 6, 7 points.
Right. I am worried about that for Portland, and I'm also worried that Denver with Jokic, he is the X factor, and Portland, Cantor played pretty well against him, and last night he had 14 rebounds. Cantor did, and he defended him fairly well, but there is no really answer for him. Denver's got a big edge coming back home in this series, and there you go. What you talked about, the 7th game going to the better team, and it was amazing all year how Denver kept holding on to that 2 spot. We as a group really started following the standings in the NBA in about January, and we kept, Denver just kept holding on to that 2 spot. And we even thought, well, gosh, they could even get the 1, and they can, and everything else. And then it was, who's going to get the 7th spot because you're going to want to draw Denver. And kind of underrated them, undervalued them. They held on to it, and now the benefit, they get Game 7 at home. And I think it's huge. Denver's the better team in my opinion. I thought Portland was in the right spot last night. I think Denver's going to win this game on Sunday. But then again, they're also 6.5, and the points could come into play here. So
all right.
It's going to be a tight game. Steve, you've called it all along. It's a very, very tight series.
All right. Sam, what do you think? Portland, Denver.
Denver, because I'm basically what Steve is on ice hockey right now.
Oh, man. That's not
all I know is you pick the better team 90% of the time in the NBA, and you're going to be right.
Well, that's pretty much any sport except for the NHL this year. All right.
The NHL, period.
Yeah, but
the
especially this year. All right, let's go to the Golden State Warriors, who took a 3-2 lead over the Houston Rockets. I think this. I know Bobby is on the Rockets here. I'm still on the Rockets. I think the Rockets are going to win this series. I've been saying since January I thought they were the best team in the West. Bobby, I think you've been with me on that.
Yep.
I think Kevin Durant being out makes Golden State more dangerous. Maybe not for tonight, but in Game 7, Steve.
It makes Golden State more dangerous?
Yeah, I think that Golden State, when you throw in the extra guard, is a tougher matchup for the Rockets.
Right. Yeah, this hinges on the play of in my opinion, Chris Paul, Eric Gordon, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson. Those 4 players are definitely going to dictate this game, in my opinion. Curry's got to step up and have a good shooting night, and he put in 25, but still, 3 of 11 from three-point land is that's not good for him. He's going to step up. Durant's definitely out for the rest of this series. I think definitely Houston wins tonight fairly easily, and they go back in on Sunday. And I'm going to disagree with you guys about Houston. I think Golden State's going to find a way. I just think there's that it factor of having done this before, been in these situations before, playing at home. And Curry is a player who I think he's just going to step up big time. And Thompson's playing some of his best basketball. So, and Gordon and Paul have been iffy. They've been spotty. They've had their great moments, but they've also had their letdowns. So it depends on which two of those guys show up in this case.
All right. Sam, any comment on this?
Not really, but I had a question, I
Okay.
guess, that Steve and you guys could probably answer. If you had to pick between having Steph Curry out or Kevin Durant out for the series, which one would you have chosen?
If I'm a Golden State fan or if I'm a Houston fan?
Let's go both.
Okay. If I'm a Houston fan, I'd rather Steph Curry be out. If I'm a Golden State fan, I'd rather Kevin Durant be out. Steve?
I would agree with you.
Bobby?
I don't agree. I think that Kevin Durant's the single most dominant player that we have in the playoffs. Up to that point, he was injured. I think he was going to be the reason why they were going to win Game 7 if they were going to win it. And the fact he's not there, they're not going to win it. I think it was everything.
I think this. He's a better all-around player. But if there's 10 seconds left and I got to give up a shot to Kevin Durant or Steph Curry, I'll take Steph Curry to make that shot any day.
And then how good is Kevin Durant without Steph Curry on the court? He's good. He's still
you
great.
still got
He's
Klay
still great,
Thompson, but
yeah, you're right. But how good does Steph Curry? Does Klay Thompson? You got me saying a bunch of things now. Does Durant fall off a little bit without Curry being on the court with him?
No,
I don't think he falls off. I just think this. I think Bobby is missing this. I think Steph Curry is one. Put it like this: Reggie Miller, if he was eligible to play, is not as good in his prime as Kevin Durant. But in a one-game situation with everything on the line, Reggie Miller scares me more. Steph Curry scares me more than Kevin Durant. And I think Kevin Durant, if he's not the best player in the NBA, is one of the two best players in the NBA. But I'm just telling you, when it comes down to a one-game situation, we saw what Steph did in the fourth quarter the other night. He just throws the team on his back, goes back to the way he played before Durant got there, and, basically leads them to win the game.
Yeah, because those guys that you mentioned, Miller and Curry, they could fire up that deep three that's almost not guardable. But when you've got Durant off the court and you're able to make some adjustments, I mean, he's going to have to make a bunch of those, and he doesn't play that great a defense. And the bottom line is that, you don't have to worry about that bear now with Durant, and I just don't see it happening. I think the Rockets are going to win both of them.
Well, let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. Missing either one of them, if Houston does what they should do and plays the way they're capable, is crippling. My problem is this. When I've watched this series, all games have been decided by less than 6 points. I think what I've seen from these two teams is bad basketball. I don't think either team has played that well. And it's why whoever wins here, if they don't play better, the Nuggets or Trailblazers, either one can beat them.
Yeah, well, Mike, we talked about this. It's like a prize fight. It's the styles. It doesn't make for great looking basketball at all times. It's kind of disjointed, and neither team looks like they're playing their best basketball. But both teams are very emotionally and mentally into it. This series is huge because Golden State's been the team to knock them out for the last 5 years.
I think I'd read somewhere where the first 5 games were decided by a total of 1 point. I don't know if that's 100% accurate or not, but I thought I'd read that.
By less than 6 points each game.
Yeah, but I think
the total accumulation.
Okay, I got you. All right.
Yeah, the total points accumulated in the first 5 games for each team was like 455 to 456.
Yeah.
in terms of points scored for the first 5 games.
Well, I can
So that's
believe
what I
that
was
because
getting
they were
at.
all just good. They were all within 6 points of each other. It's been an
And-
entertaining series. I think this game tonight
Well,
is either going to be put it like this: if the game's close tonight, Bobby, I think Golden State wins this game and finishes the series tonight. I expect Houston to come out and blow this out from the beginning. If they don't, then I'm going to have some major concerns.
Well, but the Rockets are capable of winning 2 close games as well. They're capable of that.
Yeah,
You know.
but what I'm saying is this: if the
this
game's
could be
not
feeling
close,
out.
Steph Curry can't get hot and beat you.
I
Well,
think
that
the
is-
unknown factor here
That's definitely true.
the unknown factor here is we all agree, and I felt that the Denver-Portland series has been a much more enjoyable series to watch, that these guys are playing at their possible highest level. Both teams are. I think the fact that what you're trying to get at is between Houston and Golden State, neither one of these teams yet has really played to their potential.
No, and I think
they
a lot of
played
that
well.
could be this, though,
Yeah.
because we can't question how hard the two teams have played.
No,
So it may
exactly.
just be the pressure of how good the other team is, too, where
Amen.
basically this is going to come down to being just straight up a battle of wills and who wants it the most.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
going to be Houston. That's going to be Houston, I believe. The answer to that question.
I
My
hope so.
opinion.
Because me and Bobby
I
did
hope
pick
so, too.
Houston against Milwaukee in the NBA Finals in January.
We did.
Steve picked the
you go.
Lakers and the Grizzlies.
No, I picked the Lakers and the Celtics.
No, he took the Lakers and the Celtics, I think, or was it?
Oh,
the
did he?
Sixers?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right, because it's fixed.
But
And
I
it usually is.
I don't
but
gamble,
you got to get
so
close
I
enough
don't.
so the officials can fix it for you, though. All right, Sam, what did you
Exactly.
learn from the last 15 minutes of NBA basketball?
It's a lot more inconsistent than it has been in the past.
Well, I'll tell you. We're going to
Because for the
teach
past,
you.
like,
We're going to
what-
teach Sam the NBA, Bobby, and then me and Sam and Lukas will teach you guys the NHL.
Let's do it. I'm good with that.
I would like to bring
I'm
up,
cool.
in all these factors, is pretty much just me and Lukas that knows both.
I'll
But
give that to you, Mike.
Steve could always throw the golf or the NASCAR up, and then I'm dead in the water. Steve, you want to tell everybody about the NASCAR show you and Alex Gray did Wednesday night, where they can find that?
On the grillingstruth.com, as well as everywhere else, all of our podcasts.
Well, what'd you
are played.
talk about?
We talked about aero packages. We talked about the resurgence of the Chevrolet. We talked about Hendrick making a little comeback run here. We talked about Stuart Haas this deep into the season and having not won a race yet, which is very unusual because they're driving Fords. The general stuff we talk about. Looking forward to Kansas City, the first mile-and-a-half track, which are historically parades, but they put the new aero package in to try and curtail that, and we'll see Saturday night whether the new aero package has any effect on the mile-and-a-half tracks, which are pretty mundane and boring tracks for NASCAR to run on.
All right.
If you're not a NASCAR fan, it won't mean a lot to you.
But if you are a NASCAR fan, check it out. And if you're not a
Keep
NASCAR
listening.
fan, check it out anyways and listen to Steve and Alex. Bobby, you want to tell everybody about the Sheridan Report and our show at 2 o'clock tomorrow?
I'm real fired up for our show at 2 o'clock tomorrow, Mike. We're going to go over all these Game 7s, and we'll have tomorrow's MLB. That'll be at 2 o'clock Eastern on the network, and you can follow me or see my tweets at Sheridan Report, or you can go on the website at thesheridanreport.com.
All right,
Top
Sam.
play every day at 5 a.m.
Yep. And Sam, you want to tell us why nobody has seen your NHL conference previews yet on thegrillytruth.com?
So I was in the middle of doing SAT stuff.
Sam got it turned
And I
in too
didn't-
late, so yeah, we're gonna have to have a talk with Sam. Sam got an F on that paper, didn't he, Steve?
I didn't read it.
Well, you didn't read it because it came in too late. All right, guys,
Okay.
we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna wrap the show up.
Hey,
Steve?
can we do one thing here? Can we do one thing?
Sure.
On behalf of everybody at thegruelingtruth.com, we want to wish a happy Mother's Day to all of our mothers, to all the mothers out there, wives of the husbands and mothers of the sons that listen to us. Make sure you take care of your mom on Sunday. Make her breakfast in bed. Take her out to brunch.
Hey,
buy
Sam,
her some
what'd you
flowers.
get your mom for Mother's Day?
I can't tell you because she listens to this.
Did you get her something, or we just reminded you and now you're going to get her something and then act like you already had it?
No, I got her something.
Okay, I'm just checking. You never know. Sometimes people forget things. It was a good way to remind you. And we appreciate Sam's mom listening. Also, Bobby, you got any final words?
No final words, Mike. I just hope baseball comes through with a nice day today. We got 3 solid underdog choices today, all in the 150s range. So later this afternoon, I'm looking forward to watching those.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead. We're going to wrap it up. Me and Steve will be back Monday at noon. Sam, well, he may be on probation for getting that conference final article in a little late, but we'll see. But I'm sure Sam will be back with us at some point next week to talk NHL. You could catch me and Bobby every day on the Sheridan Report at 2 o'clock. You can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify. Make sure you get the iTunes app off the Google Play Store if you've got an Android phone. Or if you've got an iPhone, you can get it off the iTunes store. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up, guys. So for Lukas Weese, Bobby Sheridan, Sam McGinnis, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.